Companies have never done that kind of investment. Governments have never done that kind of investment. What is going on? All these investments are driven by a realization that intelligence on demand is here. With so much excitement, hype, and potential around AI, and with all the investment hitting up, AI is also becoming a very, very strong strategic asset. Meta is willing to pay as much as $100 million joining bonus to some of the top guys at OpenAI. Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, said AI is underhyped. We are seeing voice AI agent go into production around the world. The pace at which AI is continuing to get better literally every day is mind-boggling. Imagine being able to have this human-like two-way communication. We are not far from a day where we will be able to support all 15, 16 major languages in India. Internet has profoundly altered and for the most part improved our lives. Hi, I'm Mukesh Bansal, founder of Myntra and CureFit. Today, I want to talk about impact of AI on businesses and society. If you are not living under a rock, by now you must be used to hearing about this big headline news item about AI. Some of you might think that why there is so much hype. I was listening to a talk by Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, who said that if anything, AI is underhyped. From everything I have seen in last 2 3 years, I agree with the sentiment. The pace at which AI is continuing to get better, literally every day, every week, is mind boggling. The things that was not possible for AI to do about 6 months ago, it's able to do now with flying colors. Year ago, we were asking questions, and there were even memes that AI is not even to solve a high school math problem. Today, there are many areas it is able to produce output which is at par with what you will expect from somebody who has PhD in that area. So clearly, AI is on an exponential growth curve. And what is so amazing, it simultaneously costs are coming down. Last year, when we started Nurix, one of the first use case we started working on was on enabling voice AI. The cost was pretty high, and there was internal debate in our team that people will not be able to use this AI in production if cost is so much higher. I believe at the time that cost will continue to come down, and within 1 year, cost has come down by 10x, factor of 10. What was going to cost almost 30 40 rupees a minute is now costing 3 rupees a minute. If that's surprising, wait for 1 more year. I'm pretty confident it'll again go down by a factor of 5 to 10, which means what is costing us 3 rupees a minute is going to cost only 30 40 paisa a minute. This is unprecedented, unheard of. And the profound impact it will have on every walk of our life is almost beyond imagination. But the good news is it's going to all play out over next few short years. We all have opportunity to watch it from close quarters, to adopt AI in our own lives, our own businesses, and be part of this dramatic transformation that's well on its way. I want to start with just showcasing a demo. This is something we have built in my current company, Nurix. One of the use case that we are seeing a lot of traction for is people want to have this always on 24 by 7 AI powered call center experience where customers can call in, have any conversation. So here I'm going to try to order Mexican food. Let's see how it goes. Hi Myra, I'm Mukesh. I wanted to order some Mexican food.
Hi, Mukesh. That sounds great. Are there any dietary restrictions I should keep in mind while preparing your order?
Yes, I'm vegetarian.
Got it, Mukesh. I will ensure everything is vegetarian friendly. Do you have any favorites you would like to include? We have burritos, burrito bowls, tacos, and salads.
Yeah, my go-to Mexican food generally is burrito and some chips and salsa.
Burritos and chips with salsa sound like a fantastic choice. For the burrito, would you like to customize it? We can choose the tortilla type, rice, protein, and beans and make it just right for you. Shall we start?
Yeah, definitely. I want a wheat burrito with some brown rice and some black beans and some cheese. That's it.
Perfect. A wheat burrito with brown rice, black beans, and cheese. Would you like to add some guac or salsa to enhance the flavor?
Yeah,
It pairs wonderfully with burritos.
yeah, let's do both. Let's please add guac and salsa.
Great choice, Mukesh. Guac and salsa will definitely elevate the flavors. Would you like to add a drink to complete your
I
meal?
don't need a drink, but I'm curious about desserts. Should I order a dessert?
Absolutely, Mukesh. Desserts are a great way to wrap up your meal. We have some delightful options. Would you like to add one to your order?
Just tell me your favorite one. What's the most ordered one?
Honestly, our churros with a hint of cinnamon are a crowd favorite and pair perfectly with any meal. Would you like to add that to your order?
I can, but what will it translate into in terms of total number of calories? I'm really worried about eating too much calories during lunchtime, and then I'll not be able to focus at my work.
I completely understand, Mukesh. Churros are a treat, but if you are watching calories, you might want to save them for a day when you can fully enjoy them guilt free. Shall we skip dessert for now?
Yeah, I guess that's a right choice. Although with your description, I'm very, very tempted, and I feel I should have one. Should I just have churros and not the burrito?
That is a tough call, Mukesh. The burrito is hearty and satisfying, while churros are a sweet indulgence. If you are leaning towards a lighter lunch, you could enjoy the churros and maybe pair them with a small side like chips and salsa. What do you think?
Let me just think it through, and I'm going to call you back. Thank you, Myra. As you saw, you can have basically human-like conversation with these voice AI agents. The humanness of these voice agents, quality of conversation, the emotional intelligence, and the ability to understand broader context continues to just get better. There are many areas that we are seeing adoption of voice AI. Let's take an example of a center manager or a fitness trainer at Cult is able to call in into this voice AI agent, have a conversation about what he or she is observing on the ground. Maybe they have some complaint about the facilities or store opening time or class schedule and so on. They can talk to voice AI agent, give that feedback. Similarly, every now and then, voice AI agent can call them proactively and say, "Hey, we are going to have this change in our class schedule, or we are introducing this new format, or it's rainy season, so therefore we expect this change in the daily footfall and so on." Imagine being able to have this human like two-way communication. What will it do for businesses? These are just but a few examples of how voice AI agent can transform how companies talk to their employees internally, how company talks to customers, whether they're trying to sell something or whether customers are trying to call in and get a complicated use case done. This thing has absolutely hit the inflection point. We are seeing voice AI agent go into production pretty much around the world. What's so fascinating about these voice AI agent is they can not only converse in English easily or Hindi or English. We just talked to a customer in India where we were able to do this outbound client conversation in Marathi, and it was an impeccable Marathi that AI agent was able to do, and customer was absolutely blown away with the quality of conversation. We are not far from a day where we will be able to support all 15, 16 major languages in India and all the variety of dialects. We know while Hindi is one language, it is spoken differently on the eastern part of country versus western part. It's different in say Haryana versus MP. I will look forward to a day when I am able to talk to a voice agent and have conversation in my style of Hindi, and perhaps we can have some of the listeners call in, their own way of speaking Hindi, and see how these voice AI agent perform. But one key takeaway is technology has reached a point where these things are given. They are going to be part and parcel of our life. But I think voice will just make it very much like science fiction movies. If you've seen things like the Jarvis suite in Iron Man or Minority Report, you just wave your hands, say what you want to say, and just express your intent. And AI will be able to understand, respond, take care of action. Let's just zoom out a bit. I'm just feeling almost the feeling of surrealness doing this podcast. If 2 years ago, 4 years ago, I was doing it, it would have sounded like as if I'm talking about science fiction. It would have sounded like imagine a world where in future you will be able to do. Recently, Google announced this video generation tool called VO3. We are enclosing one clip of what Google demonstrated.
This ocean, it's a force, a wild, untamed might. And she commands your awe with every breaking.
Very soon, when this tool will be out in the public, you will be able to create your own ultra realistic video picture. Right now, VO3 has 8-second limit, but that's only a matter of time. They demonstrated one short film that a director produced completely using VO3. These things are coming. They're going to be part and parcel of our life. Recently, OpenAI announced 80% cost reduction for their O3 model, which is their most advanced model yet. But I think a lot more, the upgrade to that is in the works, and we should be seeing GPT-5 hopefully in the coming months, which again promises to significantly upgrade the capability and reduce the cost. Within first few weeks of his presidency, Donald Trump was flanked by Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, Masa San, and they announced this project Stargate with a staggering $500 billion of investment. Now, if you zoom out and think about it, that is unheard of. The companies have never done that kind of investment. Governments have never done that kind of investment. What is going on? The thought process behind these kind of massive investment is being able to produce intelligence at scale. If you think about a data center, it's now powered by hundreds of thousands, even millions of GPUs. These GPUs are extremely power hungry. When any of us go to our GPT interface and having a conversation about what to cook in the evening or what kind of holiday plan or a health issue you might having or maybe relationship issues that you're dealing with, behind the scenes lot of energy is being burnt, as the inference engine is running to power that scale, to be able to provide intelligence on demand to pretty much all of humanity. We need these massive data centers, and that's what powering this huge appetite for this unimaginable investment. The Stargate Group is not alone. Apple, which is generally seen as a very conservative company, they work slowly on their product until they achieve pixel perfection. They announced another $500 billion investment around AI and intelligence around Apple devices. Again, that's a staggering amount of investment, and many others in the works. Just this morning, I saw headline news where Masasan wants to increase his involvement in AI infrastructure investment in US and thinking of $1 trillion figure. All these investments are driven by a realization that intelligence on demand is here. We have gone way past uh, proof of concept. OpenAI has recently hit 800 million users around the world. Now, take a pause and think about it. 800 million users is about 10% of the world population. OpenAI is obviously not the only uh, general purpose AI in town. There are many other providers, but GPT alone has 800 million users. It's still growing at a staggering pace. Google took 11 years to get to that kind of search volume in its journey, and that was not very long ago, just first decade of this century. So the exponential nature of growth has kind of taken hold. We have seen this exponential journey play out many times in the history of technology, but this time it exponential growth on steroids. And it is for what it is doing is a absolute paradigm shift. It is fascinating to watch how fast AI is getting better. I'll encourage everyone to watch this recent talk that Sam Altman gave at the YC Startup School. In the talk, Sam talked about how AI is on its way to become this ultra cheap utility available to all of us. What is a utility? Think about electricity as a utility. It's a utility that's available on which so many devices and applications have been built out. Internet is another utility. It's nearly ubiquitous. It's available everywhere. And again, the gazillions of applications have been built. Internet has profoundly altered and, for the most part, improved our lives. think of intelligence as that utility that is going to be available at scale and it's almost not going to cost anything. You will not notice the cost of intelligence at all. When AI is able to do work equivalent to that of PhD, and very soon probably work equivalent to thousands of PhDs, we have every right to expect the pace of innovation to increase, pace of scientific discoveries to increase, and all of that is likely to shape society for much better access to resources, much better lifestyle, and all that is just absolutely exciting to watch, to participate in, and hopefully play some role in shaping how that future turns out. With so much excitement, hype, and potential around AI, and with all the investment hitting up, AI is also becoming a very, very strong strategic asset. First and foremost, battle for talent. When I was in Silicon Valley 20 years ago, getting $500,000 salary was considered a coup, only reserved for absolutely the best. Last 20 years, that number slowly inched up to few $1 million. If you are a top technologist who can do something that very few people in the world can do, maybe you can make something like 10, $20 million a year, which itself was mind boggling. But recently, Sam Altman talked about that Meta is willing to pay as much as $100 million joining bonus to some of the top guys at OpenAI. That tells you that how challenging and complex the technology involved is, how few people in the world truly understand how to design and build absolutely world class large language models, how to make them perform at the capability that you want, how to squeeze out much better level of performance, accuracy, and this juggernaut is not going to stop. Another aspect of strategic autonomy is where are these data centers located? I was seeing another report this morning that there are only about 20 countries in the world which have full-fledged data centers with the ability to host large number of GPUs in their own soil. Fortunately, India is one of those countries. A lot of data center investment has happened by Geo, by Yota, and some government-supported data centers as well, which is a good news for us. One of the very strange news, which I couldn't even believe on the first reading, is just a couple of weeks ago, we had this news of the CTOs of Meta, the company behind Facebook, WhatsApp, CTO of OpenAI, and CTO of Palantir joining US Army as Lieutenant Colonel. Now, that has never happened. You have a day job as a CTO of a Silicon Valley cutting edge technology company. Why are you joining Army as a not as an advisor or a consultant, but actually taking oath as someone who is actively serving duty in US Army to be able to guide the strategic direction of how entire US military infrastructure approaches AI and other emerging technologies, how they build the next generation defense ecosystem around that, how do they have access to absolutely cutting edge breakthrough, which otherwise government bureaucracy might not have. I think this has huge implication for pretty much all countries around the world, definitely for India. If we watch north of our border, China has made incredible strides in AI. China has been now the leading publisher of AI papers in the world. Almost 500,000 papers published in peer-reviewed journals every year. They are now outpacing the rate of publication from US and Europe put together by a factor of 2, which is incredible. India has fairly good thriving AI research ecosystem, but lot more can happen. Last year, couple of very encouraging initiatives that the government of India has started. One is India AI Mission with $1.5 billion investment budget. Second, ANRF with much larger budget to support earlier stage research in the innovation ecosystem. But these are all encouraging signs. While I feel good that we are doing this, I can also say that this is probably not enough. The AI race has just reaching different orbit altogether. It requires different order of magnitude of investment. Uh, Getting some of the top talent from around the world to focus on problems which are very, very indigenous to Indian context, Indian culture. We had Pratyush from Sarvam here earlier, and they are doing some incredible work, but one Sarvam is not enough. We need many deeply funded, world class talent companies moving the AI needle in India. I'm sure we'll keep talking about that. But let's look at some of the implications. First and foremost, I hope everyone in this listening to this have by now is quite familiar with what vibe coding is. But let me explain nonetheless. India has made huge strides in programming and IT services over the last 30, 40 years. But programming was something which used to take many years of education, training, certifications, learning on the job. And after 5 years of effort, you may be average programmer. After 10 years of effort, you may be reasonably good programmer. If you're like me, after 5 years, I just never could become very comfortable with programming. I always had ideas. I wanted to build things. I wanted to build products. Until recently, programming was a profession with high entry barrier. Most of us, if you work in an organization, irrespective of what ideas you have to chase down your product managers, engineering team, get in the queue, convince them to consider working on your feature. If they work on it, great. If they don't, your idea basically dies a very early death. Vibe coding completely changes all of that. Andresh Karpathy, who is a renowned technologist in Silicon Valley, he was one of the early members at OpenAI. Later on, he was a CTO at Tesla. He has this amazing AI introduction course called From Zero to Hero, which is very hands on training about teaching someone to build their own models and so on. So he realized that few months ago, the models are getting so good in code generation that all you need to do is describe the vibe. Basically, it boils down to saying, I am looking for an app which can help me organize my finances, which can categorize everything I'm spending by, in these, let's say, food, travel, utilities, and so on, which can create alerts for me if I go above the limit. And voila, within seconds, you have your app ready. Now, you may think it's too hard to believe if you have not tried your hand vibe coding. I very strongly encourage you to download Lovable, which is a platform that has emerged as the leading platform for vibe coding. Using this platform, whether you are a teacher, you are a nurse, you are a doctor, you are a Uber driver, you can create a custom app within minutes. This was something very sophisticated until 15, 20 years ago. Even as recently as last year, it would have costed you many months, tens of thousands of dollars to hire a small team, struggle through describing what you want to do. But today you can literally express your emotions, your feeling, the vibe of what you want to get done. And these platforms will create instantaneous app for you. And this is obviously not the end destination. This is getting better by the day. Fast forward, again, I'll go back to another recent talk by Andresh Karpathy, where basically he argues that English is going to be the programming language of future, and there's absolutely no question about it. If all it is required to build an app, build a system, is for me to describe, then all I need to do is English or Hindi or my native language. I can talk to AI, express my needs, and you don't have to be very precise about it either. You can just say, I'm looking for something like this. I want these kind of features. This should behave in this way. If that goes wrong, wait a second, I want to change it. And you can, give alternate prompts, and it will keep dynamically changing the app you're trying to create. Now, imagine the profound impact this will have for how work happens in the companies. In every company I've been part of, one of the critical bottlenecks have been how many engineers we have. Depending on size of the company, what stage of the company, you may have tens of engineers, hundreds of engineers. At Flipkart, we had few thousands of engineers, but there is an upper limit. There was a time when Larry Page, who is a Google founder, he wanted to hit a number of 100,000 engineers, which Google did. I remember him saying at some point, we eventually want to get to million engineers because that was the currency of progress. The more engineers you have, the more code you can write, more capability you can build, and therefore you can be as much formidable as a company. But today, imagine that restriction completely goes away. Recently at CureFit, we did a huge vibe coding hackathon where we invited everyone to participate in that, whether you're a programmer or not. And a lot of people from business teams, marketing, operations, design, trainers participated in that vibe coding hackathon, and they build their own respective apps. These are the users who know the best about the problem areas, things that have been on their wish list that engineering team in the past had no bandwidth for, and they are able to create these application on demand. Now for anyone who uses technology in their company, which I assume pretty much everybody, this is worth a pause and asking yourself a question: if number of engineers is not a restriction, what can I do? How fast can I accelerate technology adoption in my company? What all I can automate, how much more intelligence I can bring to every aspect of our business. I'll give few examples from Cult, things we have been doing recently. One of the challenge for us was to audit quality for all 800 of our centers in real time. Now we have this video based AI which monitors the center 24 by 7. It knows whether center was open on time, whether center was closed on time, whether there's somebody inside the center when we are closing the center, because sometimes those mistakes happen. Someone is hiding somewhere, or and person closing the center might miss out on that. Whether the floors are mopped on time or not, whether the equipment is arranged properly on the racks. All of this AI is able to detect, is able to generate an alert, and send a message to someone who needs to do something about this to fix. That's one example. How do we do attendance counting using AI? How do you make sure there's a process compliance? How do we talk to people who are considering buying membership but don't have time to go to center? And numerous other use cases. This is examples from Cult because I'm familiar with that. But I think this applies to nearly all companies which have need to interface with customers, need to run complicated operations, need to have a marketing function to acquire customers, to improve retention and engagement with customers, to improve the insights you are able to have about customers. I have come to realize that the way business happens is going to change completely in next 5 to 10 years. At Nurix, we use the phrase autopilot enterprise. That's a direction where I see pretty much all companies in the world going, where you of course need humans for imagination, for making decisions, but you can scale up your virtual agentic employees to infinity. In the past, everyone had to make a decision about their headcount in their annual operating plan, whether I can hire 5 people or 10 or 20 people. How about you can hire 100 AI agents, 1,000 AI agents, 10,000 AI agents? All of it's available. It's the pace at which technology capabilities are improving, agentic AI capabilities are improving, and the cost is reducing, is going to be available to every single company. If I am a company CEO or a founder or a senior leadership team, I would literally call a timeout. I'll get, which I have done. The companies I am involved in, we have called multiple timeouts by now. Get everybody in the room and saying, do you guys truly realize what's going on? You ask the question again, like, no, I'm serious. Do you truly realize what's going on? This has never happened before. Whether we have to buy equipment to do work or hire humans to do work, it was always limited by how many people you can hire, how much cost you can afford. Not anymore. There is really no restriction. With this, you can start to imagine pace of growth which was unheard of. If you are used to growing 10% every year, ask yourself, what is holding you back? What will it take to grow 20% a year, 30% a year, 100% a year? If you can double, triple, quadruple your virtual employees, can you ramp up your production to that level? If there are defects in your business and you have tried every optimization technique in the world, what can you do with AI to reduce error rate, defect rate to 1/10, 1/50th? What about cost? While you're growing, can you keep reducing your cost? There are enough and more evidence that costs can be reduced dramatically. If you look all the big tech companies in the world, while their growth is accelerating, their profit is accelerating, their valuations are now in stratospheric region, unheard of, multiple trillions of dollars of valuation, but their costs are flat, even going down. And this is not a short term temporary phenomena. This is where the world is headed. People have talked about that we are not far from the day when we have single person $1 billion valuation company. Now, if that sounds far fetched, just read up on the case of this small company, Base 44. It's less than 10 employees, less than 6 months old, was recently acquired for $80 million in cash. So we're very closely inching towards that time frame where we can have these tiny startups with humongous revenue, insane profitability, and mostly relying on AI workers to get the job done. The beauty of AI workers is they are very uh, they are not limited by a particular skill set. AI worker can ramp, I don't know what you call his, her, it capability on demand. It can operate at a very strategic level, or it can come down, have very tactical operational engagement. It obviously doesn't tire. Other than whatever you're paying for monthly subscription for inference, it doesn't ask for salary or raise or appreciation. Although it's curious that a lot of people are starting to say please and thank you when they converse with GPT. Sam Altman recently said, every time someone says please or thank you, GPT is forced to do more calculation to respond back appropriately. It burns tens of millions of dollars. So, but yeah, maybe that's part of humanity we should preserve. There's no reason not to be polite to fellow humans or to the AI. That's going to be integral part of our lives. But this idea of there is no ceiling to how much intelligence on demand is available for hire to do work inside the company is going to change everything about how things happen in the company. One of the things I've always felt frustrated as part of large companies is as companies keep getting larger and larger, they keep getting more and more efficient. More layers of middle management comes in. The communication both ways, from senior management to ground staff and from front lines all the way to the top, is very slow. A lot of Chinese whispers, a lot of silos, things gets lost in translation. You I never felt there's in a large company that we are very efficient, where everybody in the company know what is going on. We are responsive, we are nimble, but AI again changes completely. Everyone can have access to same information. um, I think we are at a point where every single meeting room in every company should have a live AI agent. You should be able to ask AI agent any question. For example, we are building for Cult, where any meeting will be able to ask what was the sales in HSR Layout Center yesterday, or what was the footfall in our South Extension group class yesterday, or who are our top 10 trainers uh, as evaluated by the real-time rating we get from customers, and so on. Now that will dramatically improve the quality of conversation, quality of decision making, every single meeting. There's another example. Uh, the the potential across every function, every company is only limited by our imagination. The leaders who are ambitious, who are open to learning about new technology, who are open to take bold risk, should grab this by both hands. We have never seen a moment like this where something so profound moving so rapidly and within reach of all of us is available. It's a time where one should completely lean in, learn every single thing about AI, and ask the question how we can make our businesses dramatically better. So far, we have covered about the immense potential for transformation within businesses. In the coming months, I hope to talk to many CEOs and AI experts to drill deeper into what can be done. But I can tell you that CEOs who are proactive, they are doing a lot of things to completely retrain their workforce. We saw one such announcement from Duolingo this year, Klarna last year, and many, many other companies where CEOs are going absolutely paranoid. A lot of founders who have gone to retirement are coming back full time to really grab this opportunity of transformation by both hands. But let's zoom out and see, like, what are the implications for startups? Uh, if you watch some of the talks by either Andrej Karpathy or Sam Altman or even Elon Musk at the recent YC startup school, nearly every single company is building something using AI. Now, one of the key questions that people have been trying to wrap their head around is most of the work is done by LLMs. So, what do startups do? Are startups just a thin wrapper around AI? And if so, as AI keeps getting better in capability, what will be the defensibility? What will be the moat? I think the strongest anecdote to that thought process, two immensely successful AI startups, which are not LLM companies, are Cursor and Perplexity. What both Cursor and Perplexity have done is they've truly understand the domain context of user. In case of Cursor, this is a programmer who is trying to write bug-free code as fast as possible, but the person has to worry about all their repositories, all the code that is already been written, other people who are checking into same repository. The whole thing needs to work as a system. Cursor has done incredible job in creating a very easy to use user interface which fully understands the user context and therefore able to dramatically boost the programming productivity. Cursor has recently overtaken Visual Studio, which has been the most dominant IDE that developers have been using for literally for decades now. Similarly, Perplexity has leveraged LLM to dramatically improve the quality of search. While Google is available to everyone, but we all know how painful it is to go one link at a time, trying to make notes, understand the big story. But Perplexity does what Google does, but then leverages the power of LLM to really summarize information in the format you like. Perplexity has all these autonomy mode where you can do a cursory summary or you can do a deep research or can really deep high quality research where it can take 10-15 minutes but come back with a highly synthesized answer. So that's the pattern. For pick a problem, preferably a problem that many people are working on because the space is also very, very crowded. And I think every problem known to humankind is amenable to interesting solutioning by AI. Pick a hard problem because easy problems get solved. A lot of people will solve that and you will be lost in crowd. And then see like how deep can you understand the domain. What is it about the domain, about the skill level of people involved, various workflows are involved, the current existing systems, how much legacy stuff is there in that, what are the challenges, what do people in that domain mostly complain about. So if you immerse yourself in that domain, or even better, let's say you have been a career professional in a domain, maybe a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher, where you really understand some aspect of your domain. For example, exam preparation in a teaching context, or a particular specialty in healthcare. Maybe you are a physio, you really understand everything about human body, typical problems that people come up with. That domain knowledge and domain context is extremely important. Second, innovating on user interface. What is the ideal interface for someone to interact in that context? In case of Perplexity, where people want synthesized information, certain interface works best. In case of Cursor, when people are trying to write code, a very different interface works. If you are building a solution for teaching kindergartners how to learn their alphabets. It'll require very different interface. So those two things, if you can obsess about that, is how deeply can I understand domain and build that in my solution, and can I design a very unique interface which is custom built for that particular use case or for that particular set of users. It will help you create differentiation which will not be easy or even desirable by LLMs to replicate. But I think a lot of people are repeating this. I'm going to repeat the same thing. There has never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. All the typical hurdles you face as an entrepreneur, which is limited resources, founders not having technological background, big companies having a lot of entrenched advantage, it's all going away. The entire paradigm is being reset. It's almost like a fresh start. It's a level playing field for a lot of people. So it's a great time to be startup. Few areas in particular that everyone is excited about. I am excited about, and I think we are going to see huge change in the coming years. First is education. Now, education is obviously very important. One can argue that in the age of AI, it's even more important. And I'm talking about AI for education and not AI for cheating, which is probably we are getting is even more traction. And that's something parents, school teachers, administrators need to be come to terms with. First and foremost, one has to acknowledge that AI is here to stay. Nearly 75% of all the students are already using AI. Now, the challenge for educators, startup founders is how can you make education dramatically better? I think anyone involved in the AI ecosystem will like to see a lot of innovation happen. Fully believe that education as we know it will get completely transformed, and that's a very exciting area to watch, as well as to build exciting companies. At Miracle Labs, we are looking into few ideas in this area, and hopefully one of them translates into very attractive company. But I think this is an area where hundreds and thousands of companies need to be built. Other area, and Vinod Khosla has been one of the early proponents of talking about it for the longest period of time. How can we build world class primary care for every single of 8 billion humans on the planet? If you've had any conversation with AI about health, you know how good it already is. I faced a situation recently where somebody in the family had a major cardiac issue. We were consulting with some of the top cardiac surgeons in India. But at some point, what I did was I took all the reports, I dumped into GPT and asked it to do the health analysis and give me recommendation, protocol, life expectancy. And honestly, it came up with the answer which was definitely in line with some of the what top surgeons were telling us, but went above and beyond. It created this very comprehensive 5 page document about lifestyle changes, about medication management, at home support, pros and cons of different choices, and life expectancy that person at this age can expect. That is with today's AI. Tomorrow's AI, as I've argued, is going to be dramatically better. So there are so many opportunities to transform patient experience inside the hospital, to enable real time, on demand, high quality teleconsultation, which has been a dream for a lot of people for longest period of time, to make healthcare absolutely affordable. We had a great episode with Dr. Devi Shetty, and he's an outlier surgeon where he embraces technology front and center. Narayana has already done a lot of work with AI, but the AI that's we are able to see today, the kind of innovation that startups can bring, being able to think from blank slate, no holy cows, will lead to very different kind of innovation. So I'm super excited about that. I think the goal of very high quality, on demand, affordable healthcare is probably well within our reach. The landscape should transform dramatically in next 10 to 15 years. Another area where we'll see a lot of innovations, it may take little more time, may not be next year, but within few years, in just robotics, automation, how factories are run. uh, you know Self-driving cars are now uh, very much real. In San Francisco city, self-driving cars do more rides per day than the ride sharing cars. And San Francisco, as someone who's lived there, I can tell you is not an easy place to drive with all the uphills, downhills. So it's a great pilot. Tesla has started rolling out their robotaxi, I think, in Austin and few other cities, which market has received very well. I think next 4 or 5 years, while we see self-driving cars start to become more and more mainstream, we'll see a lot of these robotics driven automation go into factories. People use this idea of dark factories. What is a dark factory? Dark factories where not a single human being, the entire factory is automated. Raw materials go in from one end, finished product comes out the other end. Every single part of the process supply chain is handled by intelligent robotics. Robotics at home is the other area. Tesla has been hard at work building their Optimus robot. It's getting better every year, and people talk about the day is not far off where we'll have maybe 2 million Optimus robots out in people's home, and eventually a billion Optimus robots. All these things over next 5, 10, 15 years. You can go on the internet today, you can see proof of concept, you can study about technology principles. Now, as a startup founder, you can ask the question, what can you do to innovate for AI in health, AI in education, AI in robotics, AI in uh, for energy production optimization. Even some industry that is very big in India, IT services, it has been a crown jewel for Indian export. Nearly $250 billion of export happens out of India every year. Now, the entire IT service industry is both having a moment where it has to really think about what does IT service export mean in the era of AI, where AI will be able to write very cheap code instantaneously. It doesn't necessarily need to be housed in India. So there is an existential question, but also there's an opportunity of how can we transform services? How can we help migrate a lot of legacy codes? You may not believe it, but there most Fortune 500 companies in the world still running code from 70s, 80s, 90s, which is written in outdated languages. And these codes and machines are so obscure, the skill set doesn't even exist to migrate it to modern architecture. Now all those use cases start to open up. I do anticipate a lot of innovation, a lot of transformation in the IT services space, and at some point, I hope we'll have much deeper conversation about how the business of IT service itself is going to transform. In terms of innovation and opportunity to build new companies, I think it's pretty much wide open. Today, anyone with a bright idea, ambition, imagination, creativity can leverage all the AI tools, build something new, solve a problem uniquely, and slowly build a business model, build product market fit around it, and the potential for unleashing human creativity and entrepreneurial energy is just phenomenal. And anyone involved in the startup ecosystem in the country has to be super excited about that. On the closing note, I want to talk about what can you do as an individual to really prepare yourself to be ready for this AI revolution and to participate on this on the front foot. First and foremost, use AI nearly every single day. The subscription, costs only 1,000 to 1,500 rupees a month. It's not much for at least for the working professionals. You can even share the subscription with other folks in your family. But when you start using it every day, you will notice many patterns. You will realize how to get best performance out of AI. The only skill all of us will need going forward to work with AI is to what's known as prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is nothing but structuring your thought process, saying what output you want, what is the context for that, how do you want AI to organize its output, what it should watch out for, what it should filter. And you will have deeper appreciation for that only if you start AI as your personal assistant. So, whatever things you care about, if you like learning, use AI for learning. If you want to be more organized in your life, let AI help you organize your life. If you are working on health goal, for example, I talked about fasting in my recent episode, but I wanted a lot of information about signs of fasting as well as pitfalls of fasting, things to watch out for. And guess what? AI was my most trusted companion in that journey. If you are preparing for college and you want to work on your application, leverage AI for that. If you are dealing with a complex problem at office, see how AI can help you with that. For an driven, ambitious working professional, not using AI is not a choice. Just as you will not do your work without or you live your life without mobile phones or without internet, you should not do that without AI. Second, look at all the innovation that's happening in the AI space. Today, the ideas are traveling around the world fairly quickly. Read up on the case studies about Cursor, case study about Perplexity. YC is very liberal with publishing the cohort of their AI startups online. They publish most of their talks, so go through those talks. Lot of people are very liberal about sharing their ideas, their thought process. Go through that. There are many courses available online. uh, Andrew Ng's um, website Deep Learning has number of courses. Stanford has many courses available online. Coursera, Udemy has many courses. There are a lot of free content available on YouTube. Go through that. There's some amazing books on AI. My favorite, Why Machines Think by Anil Anantswamy, who was on this podcast earlier. If you want to know about history of AI development, Genius Makers is an amazing book on that front. If you want to get some exposure to different types of AI, the master algorithm does a phenomenal job, somewhat technical, and there are a lot more technical books. When you are doing goal setting or participating in meeting, keep asking that question of how can AI make this thing better? Can AI make my meeting better? Can AI improve the probability of me hitting my goals this quarter? Can AI compensate for lack of bandwidth, which might be holding you back? Proactively using AI, learning about AI, and most importantly, doing projects with AI. If you have some side projects in mind, in the past, you might have been restricted by time, but today you can just over a weekend download Lovable, start vibe coding, create your app, show it to your friends, get their feedback, and voila, you already have your precursor proof of concept product to maybe build something around that. Today, not using AI proactively is being left behind. This is culmination of, depending on how you look at it, last 70 years of computing revolution, or last 300 years of industrial revolution, or last many thousand years of human evolution. So many things had to happen for us to reach this point where we have this intelligence explosion ahead of us. For me, AI is not a threat. It's an extremely powerful technology. If we learn to be on the right side of this technology, learn to leverage it to better our lives, better the work we do, and the lives of people around us, we can finally have this era of abundance for this very high quality lifestyle for everyone within our reach. And many of us can actively participate in that, in the process, growing ourselves, making a meaningful contribution, creating companies that are beneficial to humanities, which move the kind of human agenda forward, and just have a lot of fun in the process. I am very excited about what's to come. I'll keep coming back to this theme of how AI will transform different aspects of our lives in society. I'll encourage all of you listening to this to really, really take AI very seriously if you aren't already doing so. The rewards will be absolutely worth it. Thank you. At SparX, we aim to bring to you stories of exponential impact. We share in-depth analysis of what goes behind success stories. If you find our conversations interesting, you can join us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can also listen to SparX on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or any other audio platform of your choice. If you have any suggestions on who we should invite or what topics we need to cover, just let us know in the comments. We are always listening, looking for ways to improve, and keep getting better as we go along.